It all started on an unusually quiet morning when I noticed construction equipment rolling into the neighborhood. The HOA had been buzzing for months about expanding the community pool, but nobody mentioned where it was going. I didn't think much of it until I saw the orange spray paint marks creeping across my back fence. At first, I thought it was just a mistake, a survey line someone had misread. But within days, workers were pouring concrete, hammering posts, and laying down pipes. The strange part was how confidently they moved, as if they owned the place. When I checked the property lines against my deed, my stomach dropped. The brand-new pool extension wasn't just near my fence. It was sitting directly on my land. A good 20 feet of my backyard was swallowed up, claimed without permission, and covered in fresh concrete. The HOA hadn't even bothered to ask. They acted like my property was theirs to use, like I didn't even exist. Neighbors kept telling me to let it go, that a pool would raise everyone's home value. But I knew what was happening. The HOA, led by the ever-persistent Karen on the board, had made a gamble. They assumed I wouldn't fight back. They assumed I would fold under the pressure of community opinion. But they underestimated me. Instead of rushing to stop construction, I chose patience. I let them finish every last detail, from the pool deck to the diving board. I waited while they bragged in the HOA newsletter about the grand opening event. And as the date drew near, I began preparing something of my own, a quiet plan that would turn their arrogance into their downfall. The stage was set, and the pool sparkled in the sun. The HOA thought they had won. They had no idea what was coming next. The weeks leading up to the grand opening were almost unbearable to watch. Every time I stepped outside, I could see the HOA board members gathered around the pool like proud parents showing off their new toy. They hosted small tours, guiding neighbors through the freshly poured deck and pointing out the shiny new features. All the while, they pretended my property line didn't exist. I spent those days carefully gathering everything I needed. The first step was documentation. I photographed every angle of the construction, highlighting the spray paint marks, the concrete, and the way the pool crossed over onto my land. I pulled up my deed, marked the exact boundaries, and double-checked with county records to ensure there was no loophole they could exploit. The evidence was ironclad. Then I made a few discreet calls. A surveyor came by under the pretense of checking drainage, but really he was confirming what I already knew. His report left no room for argument. The HOA had illegally built part of their pool on my property. I tucked the papers away, resisting the urge to confront them. This wasn't about yelling or threats. This was about timing. By the time the banners went up announcing the opening day, I was ready. I kept my distance as they installed balloons, arranged chairs, and filled the pool to the very brim with thousands of gallons of water. I watched families gather around, kids bouncing with excitement, board members smiling proudly as if they had pulled off something grand. But what they didn't realize was that their victory was sitting on borrowed ground, and I had every legal right to take it back. I wasn't going to stop the party before it started. I was going to wait until the moment it would sting the most. The grand opening was only hours away, and I was about to deliver a lesson the HOA would never forget. The grand opening began with fanfare. Music echoed from rented speakers, children ran around with popsicles, and Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA, strutted proudly along the edge of the new pool as if she had built it with her own hands. Families gathered, neighbors applauded, and the board gave speeches about community unity. All the while, I stood quietly at a distance, pretending to blend in with the crowd, while every detail etched itself into my memory. When the ribbon was cut, cheers erupted. Kids dove into the sparkling water, parents clapped, and the board members raised glasses of lemonade as though they had just opened a luxury resort. The scene was almost surreal because I knew what was waiting behind the curtain of their celebration. I had everything in place: the surveyor's report, the photographs, and most importantly, access to the water supply that fed directly into the pool system. The HOA had been careless. They'd run pipes through the edge of my property, assuming I'd never touched them, but ownership meant control, and control meant I could make their shining jewel vanish in an instant. Still, I didn't act just yet. Timing mattered. I wanted the memory of their triumph to cut deeper when it collapsed. So I waited until dusk, when the party was winding down. The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving the pool lights to cast a glow across the water. Laughter drifted into the air, echoing like victory chants. That was when I quietly slipped into my backyard, where the pipes connected. My plan was simple, precise, and perfectly legal. One turn of the valve, and their masterpiece would become nothing more than an empty shell. The HOA had celebrated all day, unaware that the biggest moment of their embarrassment was only minutes away.